which Joe Hawley so kindly proves to us by putting on an incredible accent and rapping like an English chap. More like Project Why Did Joe Hawley Do That, am I right?
Oh, don't worry. I can definitely explain this one. So Sonic's scrunch occurred recently. If you were from the future, this whole ordeal was a big event. Like seriously, some people went really insane for this. Okay, I rephrase. Ruby Red went really insane for this. But can you blame her? This was a massive event. Even Andrew seemed shocked by it.
For me to see this many people here.
But seriously, this is gonna make Tally Hall history. It's the most documented members that have been in the same place, technically? I say technically because Rob was on a FaceTime, and this Discord user said Zubin was also FaceTime, but I've seen no evidence for that. But Andrew and Ross were there, Bora absolutely ate the entire time, Joe was nowhere in sight, but you know who was there? Matthew Altruda, that makes up for it. Ross's kid played the drums, which is pretty iconic, and it's the most Tally Hall public figures that have been in the same place. Even the YouTubers that couldn't be in attendance technically went as pictures, and we got to do a lot of things in Marvel's Botanical Museum. But none of that is important to me. See, I think Sonic Lunch was so iconic that we didn't just make Tally Hall history, we made history in general. I think this has to be the highest concentration of Americans saying knickers in history. And I bet you hardly any of them actually knew what they were saying. Which is shocking to me, because surely if you had a lyric in a song that you liked that you didn't understand, you'd want to look it up. But then again, I can't really blame them. The 2 analysis videos that are currently up do not go into much detail about that lyric, and the Genius annotation was completely blank until I joined this community. Yes, I'm the one who annotated that. And as a certified British lady in the community, I thought it makes sense if I explained it. Okay, for starters, why does Joe rap like an English chap? I mean, he's American, it's really random to do. Well, the prior line was, "The unreliable style's undetectable." This is Joe's demonstration of that claim. He went from being a smartly dressed American singer to a posh British man rapping about lustful desires. The style is unreliable as it didn't stay how it was expected to, and that style change was so random that it was undetectable. This is also developed by the fact that he is saying such crude things while imitating a British gentleman's speech pattern. British culture is commonly associated with politeness. How accurate that stereotype is to real life is questionable.
Birmingham is a f***ing hole. I hate the f***ing place. I hate it. It's full of heads.
That's very interesting. You're on camera. I'm going to put you on YouTube.
Put me on where you like and I'll f***ing kill you.
I don't want a bourbon cream. You crunchy cream-filled off back to your biscuit tin.
But the stereotype is prevalent in American culture. He is also speaking in a Queen's English accent. If you somehow don't know, there is no such thing as a British accent, since Britain is rich with differing accents and dialects. However, despite the wide array of different British accents, the main one seems to be Queen English when it comes to what Americans think British people sound like. Queen's English being associated with Paddington and Victorian gentlemen and, of course, the Queen, all three being overly courteous. This adds another layer to the promise that his style is unreliable. There is now a juxtaposition within the style change itself. His accent and vocabulary is that of a polite and proper upper-class gentleman, but the contents of what he says is crude and typical of a rapper, stereotypically lower in class and education than a gentleman. However, if you aren't British, you might be curious as to what he actually said. I mean, Joe has purposely chosen words that are only really used in British English. And though American English and British English are both, well, English, they have a lot of dialect differences. For example, these are crisps, that's a rubber, that's a pavement, and that is a human right. But don't worry, I'm English, I can help you understand. The first thing Joe says is, I might rap like an English chap. Chap is essentially a formal way of saying guy. Like I said, this introduces the fact that the unreliable style is undetectable. He is singing like a posh English person in a genre that is normally associated with street vernacular. The word chap both shows his sophisticated vocabulary and his relation to the English culture, while also rhyming with rap and later slap. And these three rhymes in quick succession show the rap element. Next lyric is, take you by the knickers and I'll bum your slap. This one gets a lot of confusion. Most people outside the UK that I speak to seem to understand that knickers are an item of clothing. The issue seems to be remembering which item of clothing it is. And I guess to be fair, a lot of clothing in British English has a different name to clothing in American English. So, to prevent future mix-ups, here's a rundown. In American English, what Joe is wearing on his bottom half would be called pants. Now in English, Joe also has pants on. At least I hope he does. But pants would refer to boxers, briefs, or boxer briefs. I don't know, we thankfully can't see them. What we can see is his trousers. Now for what's holding up Joe's trousers. No, not his belt. That pair of straps that are fastened to the top of his trousers waistband and hold them up by his shoulders. In American English, those are called suspenders. Now I was asked the other day if knickers meant suspenders. No. You see, we call suspenders braces. I can't find any YouTube appropriate pictures of British suspenders. Gosh, try saying that 10 times fast. But they essentially hold up socks. Correction, I meant to say stockings. I also saw somebody think that knickers were shoes. My best guess is that they got knickers confused with trainers. Trainers being called sneakers in American English. Though I'm not too sure how you'd take someone by their shoes, but okay. So what are knickers? Well, they're women's underwear. I felt the closest American equivalent would either be panties or lingerie. This is why this lyric is not about child discipline. I didn't think I'd have to say that, but turns out some people did not know that. And contrary to what Genius wants to tell you, the next lyrics are not a bum you'll slap, but instead, I'll bum your slap. A bum is a butt. This is a very sexually charged lyric, as he is saying he's going to take a woman by her underwear and then smack her rear end. Don't act so surprised, he put that bum slap sound effect into Weird Bed for a reason.
Like a tongue into me.
Now, one of my favourite things about this lyric is the fact that he swapped the subject and the verb. Though bum, yes, can be quite a rude verb, that's not what it means in this context. If you swap bum and slap around in the sentence, you'll get a coherent sentence. I'll slap your bum. The verb and the noun were switched as a sort of self-censorship. They had previous sexual references, but they were kind of wordplay, or they were like silly little phrases. Here, Joe is literally describing sex. Also, the last lyric had to rhyme with rap and chap. And it's a very Tally Hall, specifically Joe Hawley thing to do to just swap the noun and the verb around for that to happen. Joe used the word bum as it is quite informal, but more formal than arse, for example. I don't think the majority of the population would use it in a sexual situation unless they were stereotypically posh like Joe is trying to be. I personally consider rear and bottom to be more polite than bum. This makes it a little more scandalous for a posh British gentleman to say, but not exactly rude. This is probably why bum was chosen out of the variety of words you can use to refer to a bottom in British English. I've definitely heard more posh British people refer to the act of spanking as a pat on the bum. So maybe that's where the idea came from. The next lyric is "You didn't think we had the gall." This basically translates to "You didn't think we'd be this rude." The phrase coming from the fact that barley stored in the gallbladder. The lyric after that is then, "Well bloody welcome to Tally Hall." The word bloody is used to emphasise what you're saying. It's like the British equivalent of freaking or damn. Due to the fact that in the context of this story, we have yet to have been welcomed to Tally Hall, we might have been taken by surprise that they said something rude. So this is basically saying that when we heard him be rude, we're essentially getting a taste of what Tally Hall's like. They can be a bit cheeky sometimes, I guess. Oh no, I said another British word, mischievous. So the full American translation of Joe's verse would be the following. Like, I might rap like an American dude, take you by the panties and I'll butt your slap. You didn't think we'd be so rude? Well, freaking welcome to Tally Hall. I would do an American accent, but it would be crap. Though then again, the whole point of this verse is that he does a poor English accent, so it'd only be fair. And yes, his British accent is supposed to be bad. Like, he can do way better.
He's an idiot. In the late 1960s, like I might rap like an English chap.
I really hope you learned something new with this video. Maybe now that you understand it, you can appreciate this lyric a lot more. Personally, I've always loved this Tally Hall lyric. It's probably my favourite. It's so goofy and it references where I come from. So yeah, it makes sense for me to be the one to explain it. Subscribe to me or else I'll take you by the knickers and bum your slap. Maybe next year we should tape some pre-recorded lines to that picture.